My arms are a different color because I got a little bit tanned. I got a little bit tanned, but I guess my face didn't really get tanned at all. Guess me, it's like my arms are of a different color. My arms are a different color because I got tanned. I went to like a swimming pool, like open outdoor. I went to like outdoor swimming pools, and for some reason I got a little bit tanned, but my face is still what it is. Well, whatever. And this difference in color kind of bothers me, but whatever. In this video, I wanted to talk about the past. I won't start by saying that past and future do not exist, because the only moment that exists is the now. But I just said it, so that is where everything unfolds. Whenever we are trying to change our life, we want to have different outcomes. What happens is that, let's say that we're focusing on something different. We are focusing on living a completely different life, on having different type of friendships, a different type of partner, a different type of job, I don't know, whatever. We focus on that, but at the same time, there's a part of us that dwells on the past, in the sense that inner conversation that you have with yourself, and that inner voice is telling you that you will have the same experience that you already had, that you will experience the same thing over and over. This is why when we are when we first start a new job, when we first have a new meet someone new, we are pretty much positive, we are careless, we are open to what is going on, right? So we don't have really any worries, but there is a part of us that at one point is starting to go back to the old inner conversation, old mental loops. And guess what? If we start to feed what we have experienced, if we start to go back to our old thinking, we are getting it manifested over and over again. This is why it can be frustrating. But everything starts from our minds. Everything starts from what we decide to focus on. And in every second, in every moment, if we notice ourselves having thoughts that we don't like, we can change the focus. I train myself to be aware of every single thoughts I have. I'm not there checking every one of the thoughts I have, but I know when I have a thought that I don't like, because my body immediately feels it. Because I start to feel weird, not negative yet, but I start to feel weird. I start to feel not as good as I normally feel. And so as I'm conscious of my thoughts and I'm very mindful, I go back and tell myself, what kind of thought did I just think that made me feel this way? And then I immediately recognize it. And then as I notice it, I'm like, okay, I just had this thought. Now let me just calm down myself. I don't have anything to do with that. I can just notice a thought that I don't like, and I can just let that go, because I know that what manifests is not single thoughts here and there, but it's a constant attention to something. So when we want to change our lives, but we are used to think the way that we always thought, a change must happen. Because otherwise, if we keep telling ourselves that we expect what we always experienced in life, then that's exactly what we're gonna get. So there must be a point when we decide to really take charge of our thoughts, because that's where everything comes from. Everything is completely in your control, because you are the one that's thinking, you are the one that's deciding which thoughts you're focusing or not. So everything is completely under your control, and this is so liberating. This is so liberating, because if you really come to understand that, you realize that there is nothing to be afraid of, because you can't expect something that you haven't thought of. As I was mentioning about the past, whatever we focus on is what we are getting over and over again. This is why when we are having a new experience, meeting somebody new, having a new job, everything seems pretty fine, pretty good, because we have adopted a new mindset. We are open to that. Everything is fresh, everything is new, right? And then it gets to a point where we start to have the same thoughts that we had, the same loopholes that we create for ourselves, but we don't realize that those loopholes get created because we focus on them. So in any moment, we could just change everything. Just like in dreams, sometimes you don't really understand how you can shift from one scene to the other, and those scenes just don't make any sense because they're completely two different scenes that you're experiencing. The same thing could be reality, the same thing, but we are limiting ourselves. And I have an example where a friend of mine recently changed her job. There were so many positive things that she liked about this job, where she thought that people were pretty open-minded. But guess what? At a certain point, she started to think the old way. She started to think about her new job the way that she always thought about her past jobs. She expected people to complain a lot. She expected people to have this victim mindset. And she started to see her old reality play out instead of the new, because it got to a point where she herself started to believe again what she used to believe in the past. Like, she could have maintained the new mindset where everything was open-minded, where everyone was friendly, where she felt very at ease with her new colleagues, but she started to go back to her old thinking, and people started to reflect that. And she started to tell herself that it was because she always experienced that. Maybe at first everyone is nice and open-minded and kind, but then at one point everyone changes, and then they start to complain a lot. They start to have this weird victim mindset. So, to recap, in every moment we have a choice. We do not experience new situation based on our past just because it is our past, but because we decide to focus on that. Our present doesn't have free will. It doesn't have any. It just reflects who we are being. And this is something that I'm guilty of doing too, where in the past I used to think that certain situations were going to happen to me again just because I have experienced them in the past. And this doesn't make any sense. Like, why would I expect to live the same situation over and over again? What is the connection between the two? Like, I could have every time, I could possibly have like a complete different experience in every time. We transform that into the same loop because we give attention to that. So we expect to live the same situation over and over again because we believe that. But in any moment we can change it. We are the ones that are making the connection between our past and our present and our future. But if we realize that the past itself doesn't have any power, and we are only creating a situation because we give that importance, because we tell ourselves, I'm scared this will happen again, or inside of yourself you're like getting ready. Like, for example, when people know that their partner will cheat, they're getting ready, they're like trying to find evidence of the fact that they're cheating when in fact they're not. But by doing those little subtle activities, it's like you are living already in the reality where your partner cheated on you. And if you're coming from that energy, of course that will manifest, If you don't want your partner to cheat on you, the only thing you need to do is not even thinking about that possibility. Because if you don't think of it, it does not exist. Examples of old way of thinking is like, I expect my partner to cheat on me because I got cheated on by my past boyfriend. I expect all men to be the same. If you have that mindset, what do you expect? Of course, that's what you're gonna get. And I know that this happens because there's still a lot of people that don't understand that reality is directly connected to us. Reality does not have free will. When we say that people don't have free will, things don't have free will, even reality does not have free will. Reality is just responding to what kind of frequency you are vibrating. And I don't mean anything difficult with these terms, like everything is a frequency. You are deciding what kind of frequency you are emitting with your thoughts. That's where your frequency comes from. So if you emit a frequency of knowing how reality works, of only expecting good things, of only expecting someone that will not cheat on you, that will treat you exactly how you want to be treated, that you expect a job that will value you, you expect your family to value you, that's what you're getting. I was there myself too, where I felt that nothing was under my control. So my thoughts were all over the place. But in the moment when you start to actually see the correlation between what you're experiencing and your thoughts, then everything will make sense. Also, I want to add, what can we do when we start to expect our future to look like our past based on what we experienced already? We need to recognize in every moment that the past doesn't even exist, because if you think of it, we're living in a constant present. And I wanted to make a video about the perception of time, because I realized that time does not exist, because I tried to give time a dimension in the sense of I try to, for example, remember a memory of when I was 4 years old. And I think of that memory in my head as it is right now, because if I think of that memory, I can experience it right now. But time-wise, I can't give it a dimension, because if I think a memory of when I was 4 years old, a memory of when I was 10 years old, a memory of when I was 15 years old, if I can experience them in this moment, in my imagination, I can't give it a time. I can't give a dimension to time. I know that it has passed because I see certain day and hour and year, but I can't quantify it. So this is how I realized that whenever people say that time is not real, it really isn't. Because if it was real, I could give it a dimension. Just because you had certain experiences in the past, it doesn't mean that you will have to experience them over and over again. It's just your focus that creates them. But in any moment, you can be aware of your thoughts and be like, I don't like where my thoughts are going, and I'm gonna change them. I don't like having the same thoughts over and over again. I want to be different. I want to have a different mindset. I want to be a different person. So if this is all that's required for me to be a different person, then I can start with this thing that is under my control. I can start by being mindful of my thoughts, because that is completely under my control. And guess what? As a consequence, also my reality will reflect that, because everything is connected. You are your reality. Your reality is just a mirror. And I can guarantee you that if you pay attention to your thoughts, you will see the correlation. So everything starts with being aware of what you're thinking.